Hello everybody, we're playing a Singleton 60 card no reserved list match, and in this particular video it's going to be a mono black from me versus mono blue from my friend Sean. And as you can see, I started with a swamp, Sean starts with an island. It's a Singleton after all, and there aren't any crazy reserved list cards, so it's going to be rather slow. And as you can see, I've only played a swamp, and Sean plays an island, and still nothing is happening just yet. And even with the third swamp, I still pass. And now there is finally time for some action. And we've got Teleria, and it's still just the mana development, so Sean plays a Soul Ring and passes to me. But no, actually he does not, because he also decided to play Jane with Tome. Now, as you can guess, in mono black and without reserved list, we don't really have a lot of things to oppose Jane with Tome. I only play my Maze of Ith and pass. And then we have got a Strip Mine from Sean. So let's see how it's going to affect the match. And as you can see, afterwards, Sean plays Dancing Scimitar. Dancing Scimitar is a great card, one that I always kind of underappreciated because I always thought of it as a blocker only. But then again, when you understand that it can also attack, you understand it's not that bad of a deal. I'm playing the Knight, which is essentially a Pump Knight from Fallen Empires, just with a different name. It always puzzled me why they decided to do that. And you had Lenore Elves with Fithorn Elves in Ice Age, but then I understood the philosophy behind it. And for us, it's just a bonus. It allows you to have 8 cards of the same name, and we were allowed to do so quite early in the game life cycle, so to say. So Sean decides to take out my Maze of Ith with his Strip Mine and attack me with the Scimitar. And afterwards, he's also going to cast Control Magic on my Pump Knight. So I'm left without anything but my basic lands. So let's see if I am going to find a way out of this situation. And what I do play is a book of my own, actually. So that would of course be rather unreasonable not to bring a book to this battle, especially since we don't really have any artifact removal and not a lot of opportunities for people to splash some colors to use artifact hate. So Sean attacks me with my Pump Knight and Dancing Scimitar, and I untap with 4 lands. And afterwards decide to simply draw a card, hoping to draw a land or just go through my deck as fast as I can to find some answers, or maybe more or less relevant threats. And Sean has got plenty of mana. He is able to activate the book on a regular basis, which makes the situation even more dangerous for me. So he attacks for 3, putting me down to 13 life. And after that, he plays Giant Tortoise. That is a great card, a very nostalgic one for many of us, I believe. And it's a 1/1 essentially, but 1/4 is a blocker. Definitely a nice card. It's one of those, again, wall type cards that can also attack, which is nice. So I'm going to cast Drain Life, and Drain Life is going to be directed at my Pump Knight. So I managed to destroy my own Pump Knight, and it's always sad to see that Control Magic is able to make it 2-for-1 for you. So first of all, it gets rid of your card, and also you must use your removal against this Control Magic creature. And afterwards, it's Sean's turn. And Sean is a very good position, having drawn one extra card. He decides to attack me for 2. And my life total is 12, if I'm not mistaken. To be honest with you, I understood that this is not the perfect way to count your life total, so I actually got rid of it later on, as you will see, because this is a rather old video. So I found something a bit more relevant. So now comes a very big guy, and this is the Juggernaut, the very feared creature of old school, as we all know, and I'm going to put him into an Oubliette. So you all know how Oubliette works. Quite an unusual card, but it definitely does work in this case. It acts as a removal, and I think in this particular matchup it can even be an indefinite removal. Blue doesn't have any kind of options to fight against enchantments, just like black cannot properly fight against artifacts, at least it cannot destroy them. It's not that we have Gate to Phyrexia in this deck, it's no reserved list, as you remember. So Sean arranges his lands, which he has got plenty of, and let's see if any other threat is going to follow. And it's just going to be an attack. It's going to be an attack with Dancing Scimitar. And after that, Sean even plays a rocket launcher. Now, a rocket launcher is something to fear, as you understand. I have got my imp on the table, actually. That is why Sean didn't attack with his giant tortoise. And then I finally play a big card, which is Tetrabus. So let's see if Sean actually lets me play Tetrabus, and he does. No counter spells of any kind. So here are the 3 counters on my Tetrabus. It is a little bit too late though, as you can imagine, because Sean already has got quite a card advantage. He draws 1 more extra card using the book. And then count his lands. Beginning his turn, after untapping. 4 cards in hand. So in such situations, you definitely need to think a little bit. And there's quite a bold move. Sean decides to attack with the tortoise and the scimitar with both guys. So the tortoise dies and he takes 1 damage of me. He takes 1 life. So let's see what's going to follow. There is definitely a lot of mana for the rocket launcher. It's not enough to kill me just yet, but that's already quite a lot. So let's see. Sean is counting. And he does not have the sufficient amount of mana to kill me right now, since my life total is 10, and he definitely does not have 20 mana. So let's see what he is going to do. So what he is going to do is tap all of this mana to destroy my Tetrabus using the rocket launcher, which makes sense, of course. And that is of course a great move, because there aren't a lot of things that can fight against Tetrabus. It's a 4/4 creature, and you've got an air elemental, of course. You've got a Hamatejin, but that's not quite a lot. So there is a fallen angel from me, a fallen angel with Tetrabus, and his tokens would be amazing. So definitely, this is a bit too late. So Sean has got a Mishra, and tapping the mana, he is going to cast the disc. So yes, I was actually wrong about the oubliette, saying that oubliette is going to be a permanent removal until the end of the game. Definitely not. You remember how it works. If disc is blown up, then oubliette will be destroyed, and Sean will get his mighty juggernaut back. So that's not something that I had in mind. So I decide to destroy Mishra with my strip mine, which definitely does make sense, as you understand. And afterwards I draw my card of the book. Afterwards, I've got the mana to cast a juggernaut of my own. Still not a lot of lands, as you can see. Still only 4 lands. Got rid of my strip mine. Really wanted to do this a bit early, but managed to play the angel. So, disc is untapped, and I'm not in a very good position, because I'm definitely much more committed to the board right now than Sean is, and he of course has this interest in blowing up the disc and destroying the oubliette, essentially getting rid of my Juggernaut but bringing back his own. So here's the mana that goes into the book, or not, let's see. This definitely requires some thinking. What would be the optimal way to play that? And Sean decides to pass. Not attacking, not drawing off the book just yet. So that is what I do. I draw off the book. That was actually wrong, I had more mana. I simply didn't have them in the screen. My lands, not all of the lands hit the screen. So, okay, here is my mighty attack. Potentially for 9. But of course, I'm not fooling anyone. It's not that Sean is letting me attack with this fallen angel, and this is definitely not going to happen. So no, there's no attack for 8. I'm sorry, did I say 9? Of course, this is 8. And everything is gone. Everything is gone, but the Juggernaut should have seen this coming. Definitely does make sense. So Juggernaut returns, is back into play, and it is as relevant as ever. As you can see, I have got only 10 fish tank beads. This was my favorite way to represent tokens in the past, by the way, before I understood that you need to make sure that your opponent understands whether your token is tapped or not. So decided to kind of revisit it. Of course I do use them as counters nowadays as well, but they just feel so nice with all their different colors and such. So with the attack, Sean takes away half of these counters, and we also have got Mahamoti Jin, as if this wasn't enough. So it's going to be a game over for me, as you can imagine, and I cannot do anything but scoop. But before I do that, I'm going to draw a card and play Nightmare, but as you can understand, 5 damage is still going to be taken by me. It's not that I have got any sort of removal in my hand, otherwise I would have used it before. And this little guy, the Pump Knight, Order of the Even Hand, it's not going to save me, but going to let me live one more turn. Because I cannot pump and give him first strike. Not enough mana, otherwise that would have been perfect. And my Nightmare was absolutely huge, as you can understand, but even that is not going to save me. So Sean boomerangs my Nightmare, and it is game over for me. Nothing I can do against that. With that, let us go to game 2, which I'm going to start first with a swamp as per tradition. And this start, there's a very fast start from Sean, which is solving on turn 1. But my start is also faster than during the previous game. So here's this knight flying out of my hand, ready to fight. And now Sean already has 4 mana. And it's going to be a flying man. Or I mean, And it's not just Flying Man, but also Zuran Orb. Zuran Orb is a great card with many combo potential and so on. Many potential combos with it. And I'm going to attack with my Knight. Obviously, since I can give him first strike, there's no reason to block. And about Zuran Orb, I always felt on the fence about this card because it turns your extra land into a resource, so it can let you live one more turn, or you can have some interesting combos and such, but still, I personally never used it. And I'm trying to cast June and Ifrit, a card I really like, but Sean is able to use Remove Soul on that. So now with 5 mana, he's attacking me with his Flying Man. And after that, for 4 mana, he's able to cast Icy Manipulator, the one from Ice Age. Icy Manipulator is not good news for me. And Sean does decide to use it in my upkeep. So then I play my Nettling Imp. Sean on taps. Plays one more land. That's going to be 6 mana. And for 4 mana, he plays the book. Afterwards, he just decides to pass to me. Or does he? Let's see. Nope, there is an attack. The Imp is one of those cards that could technically fly, but does not. And of course I'm not using the Imp to provoke the Blind Man because it's not what I'm able to deal with, since I don't have any flying creatures right now. And I'm playing a book of my own. There's going to be an attack. And this is a small book, not just Joe and Tom. But this attack is going to be only for 1 because Sean tapped my Pump Knight before combat. Now, here we have got the book activation and an attack, which takes away one of my fish tank beads. Tap, draw, I would like to cast Cursed Land on Sean's island. Cursed Land is a card I see incredibly rarely, even though I'm always tempted by the idea of an evil enchantress deck, black and green, warp artifact, wanderlust, and I know that I'm not the first person to come up with it, but of course we all know that enchantress is just a huge removal magnet and it's so difficult to play that, but still you can play this enchantment. And I think that in a Singleton game they can actually do something, so let's see if it's any good. Sean on taps, taking 1 damage from Cursed Land. And actually he did not. I'm wrong. Because you can just use Zern Orb. So here is where I was wrong about Zern Orb. Actually, you have to use all of the resources and all kinds of interaction and synergy that you have in a game of Magic, and that's just amazing how much depth this game has. It's not something that always comes to your mind that you can just get rid of it, get rid of a land like this. So here is one more card from 1995, which is Serrated Arrows, the infamous card from Homeland. And this is one of those cards that people sometimes mention to say that Homeland still has a couple of good cards, and it is in one of those cards that was played in the tournament when they had the rule that you had to use all of the expansions, all of the sets in a tournament. So it's a card that is not useless at all, as you understand, and Sean just demonstrates that with killing of my Pump Knight, giving him a -1/-1 counter. I use my Strip Mine, and this is of course one more occasion where Sean is able to sacrifice this land that is targeted by Strip Mine to Zern Orb. And now Sean is attacking me. This is slow, but still there is some control that Sean has. Came to Torek, getting rid of control magic, which was definitely worth it to keep. It's not a card you would use on a Nettling Imp. Activating the book. And then attacking again. -1 life. To draw myself. And cast Frozen Shade. Frozen Shade can be quite a big card in this game. All of this extra mana that we've got. But, however, in response, Sean draws a card. And it's not actually in response, I'm wrong. He simply did it at the end of my turn. And here we've got a case of a non-flying flying creature again. As some people say, actually, if you haven't seen a video that I've got on my channel regarding this topic, you can actually go and see it later on. Non-flying flying creatures. So this means that I cannot block Flying Man with my Frozen Shade, but I will be able to do so with my Dancing Scimitar. So yes, I do also have Dancing Scimitar in this deck, and this was kind of a revelation for me how good this card was recently. But sadly, there is a Spell Blast from Sean. Absolutely love Spell Blast. Always prefer it over Power Sink. Not always maybe, but in most decks, because it's just a hard counter and you never know how much mana your opponent is going to have. It's not guaranteed that you're going to be the person with most mana, especially with all of these fast Mox and like Lotus and so on type of cards. So of course in a mono blue deck you can have both, but for me the first choice would still be Spell Blast. So no Dancing Scimitar for me. There was one more attack, and here I'm trying a Tetrabus, which would definitely come in handy. One of the best creatures in my deck now. But sadly, here is the power sink that I have just mentioned. So no Tetros for me. Here's again a card drawing mechanism activated, and then Sean attacks me with his Flying Man. I have got the Ice Manipulator of my own. I absolutely love this original artwork. Such a beautiful card. It's not that I'm playing it very often. I know it's being a little bit greedy, wanting to include more fun, more, I would say, specific cards. But of course I know how good this card is, how good Ice Manipulation can be. So let's see what Sean is going to do. He is going to play a wall. He is playing Wall of Air. Wall of Air, a beautiful card, maybe one of the best walls in old school Magic, simply because it can fly and because it is not really overcosted. So 1/5 can stop a lot of different creatures. On the other hand, Dancing Scimitar is an artifact and costs just 1 more mana, and it can also attack, so that is not very impressive still, but the card is beautiful. I get rid of Wall of Air. And after that, nothing really happens. As you can see, Sean is going to tap my Ice Manipulator, which is interesting, it does make sense, and draw a card. And as you can see here, Sean is using his serrated arrows on my Frozen Shade. That's a pity really, because Frozen Shade of course can be pumped, but you understand that the counter is going to stay here, and there is still this window, and which matters that no matter how many times I activate my Frozen Shade, he is still going to die. There is still going to be this cleanup phase, I believe this is called, when he is 0/1 and has this -1/-1 counter on him. And here we see another interesting card from 1995. This is Binding Grasp. Binding Grasp is a blue card that lets Sean take control of my imp, and this is a card with upkeep cost, and also it gives this imp +0/+1. Not a card you often hear about, but we understand that in Singleton, especially Singleton reserved list, this card can be quite an important one, actually even a game changer in some way. So this leaves me without any creatures again, and it's Sean on the other hand does have a Mishra's Factory, and also He has got this imp with binding grasp, but he is not able to attack just yet, because there is still the usual summoning sickness, which is not only summoning sickness but also control sickness. I'm not sure, so this means that the creature should get used to its new owner, or rather controller. Though there is also a Psy Blast, and that is game over for me. I should mention that this is one of the first matches in this series, not necessarily chronologically, but there will still be more from this old school 93-95 Singleton no reserve place tournament, so stay tuned for those, and I will see you soon. Bye.